Hi, this is VR Tapscott. Welcome to another episode of Recycled Drivel, where not only do I take stuff I wrote a couple of years ago and talk about it, I'm also slowly converting it to video. I consider this pretty much the ultimate upcycle. All rights reserved, copyright 2025 by VR Tapscott. Welcome to Podcast 22, the Library of Amazonia, written May 14th, 2022. What happens to books that were only electronic? I just finished a 5-book series called The Faerine Apocalypse. It has to do with a generally benign invasion from the fantasy world across the Veil, and their intent is to save Earth from being invaded by the Khavistim, who will enslave the entire population of Earth and sell us off or breed us as necessary. It sounds pretty grim. Unfortunately, to arrive at saving the Earth, the Faerine must kill off 6 billion of the 7 billion inhabitants of Earth. Maybe not so benign after all. It's quite well written, and it takes up some ideas I'd never thought about before, but this isn't a book review. What I was thinking about was, what happens to books that aren't on paper anymore? Obviously, there are a few paper copies of my books around. I keep a hardback version and a paperback version of each cover design, for instance. But in the scheme of things, those things will just vanish. Of course, I'm not too concerned about a copy of Jane becoming lost forever. I'm more thinking about the loss of educational materials, and by that I don't mean the loss of history books or whatever. I'm thinking more in terms of how to grow apples, or how to tan hides, or how to keep track of the important knowledge. So much of it's electronic now and would vanish in the case of a disaster. Is that really a problem? If Amazon went down and all the millions of books stored only on Amazon went away, would that be as much of a disaster as the Library of Alexandria? I don't know. Maybe so. Do we even know what the collected wisdom is that exists only on Amazon now? And even in the case of the Library of Congress, there's one copy of every book published, even germane to world survival. I did hear an interesting idea the other day. Buy a Kindle, put all these important books on it, like animal husbandry, proper fruit techniques, skinning, mining, all the important things to survival, and then bury it, along with a solar charger, in a moisture-proof container, and it'd be there with all that knowledge if it was needed. How long would it last? I mean, theoretically, an unused, uncharged Kindle could sit for decades, and maybe longer, and still be operational when it was removed from its tomb. A small, simple solar panel to charge said Kindle would likely last forever. Even if the battery disintegrated, would no longer hold a charge, being plugged into the solar panel would bring the book back to life, right? Also, having a good backup is often the main thing that keeps the disaster from happening. I mean, you never need it if you have it. All it would have to last would be a few decades, I'd think. I mean, either we're moving to a brighter future or we're moving to one where we'll need the contents of that Kindle. What do you think?